Stop scrolling, Wanderer, because for the next 17 minutes, I'm gonna yank you out of whatever comfortable chair you're rotting in and show you the 3 places in your city that instantly turn into fortresses while everyone else is busy reenacting Mad Max on the nearest highway. And no, it's not a bunker, it's not a farm, and it's definitely not your cousin's totally safe cabin 2 hours north. I'm talking locations so ordinary, you probably walked past one today while complaining about life. Here's the uncomfortable truth about collapse. It doesn't begin with mushroom clouds or mutant hordes. It begins with something boring. A supply chain cough, a grid sputter, a bank freeze that lasts just a little too long, and suddenly every single person in your city has the same brilliant idea. Run. And then the great migration begins. Highways turning into steel graveyards. Route 66, I-5, that one freeway you swear you hate. Doesn't matter. They all become heat traps filled with millions of frustrated civilians realizing their master survival plan was basically a lottery ticket with no winning numbers. Let's talk math. Brutal, apocalyptic math. Take Los Angeles. 4 million souls, 3 major escape routes. Even if everyone left politely, which they won't, you're looking at a 48-hour automotive funeral procession. But here's the twist. You don't have 48 hours. You're lucky if you've got 6 before gas stations go dry, 12 before someone decides that the Honda Civic in front of you looks like a mobile pantry worth stealing. You think this is fear-mongering?
Hurricane Rita, 2005. 2.5 million people tried to flee Houston. The highways turned into convection ovens. People ran out of water, ran out of fuel, and some literally died in their cars from heat stroke. That was with government warnings, with coordination, with time. Now imagine the same situation, but no warnings, no time, no coordination. Just 10 million people sprinting for the exits like the mall is on fire. Panic buying becomes panic fighting. Your 3-hour drive to safety becomes a 3-day march into the wilderness, clutching a backpack that weighs more than your optimism. Spoiler, you're not making it. But here's the twist nobody sees coming. When millions flee, they leave behind millions worth of abandoned infrastructure. Empty buildings with intact plumbing, equipment nobody thought to salvage, resources untouched because herd instinct pushed them all toward the same doomed exits. Strategic occupation beats panic evacuation every single time. I spent years auditing urban infrastructure, water points, defensibility, medical caches, comm systems, and 3 categories of buildings go from boring Tuesday architecture to throne of the wasteland king the moment the exodus begins. Let's go. First stop, not skyscrapers, not luxury offices. I'm talking about the dull 5 to 8-story commercial buildings that house tax consultants, insurance reps, and people who drink coffee for a living. These structures are the NPCs of city architecture. You know they exist, but you've never thought about them long enough to form an opinion.
And guess what? During collapse, nobody else thinks about them either. While the crowd floods pharmacies, grocery stores, and gas stations like moths to a fluorescent flame, these buildings sit untouched, boring, invisible, perfect. Here's why they're gold. 2 ways up, a stairwell and an elevator shaft. That's it. Compare that to a suburban house with more windows than a tech company's privacy policy. Defense becomes simple. Block the ground-level doors, pile furniture into barricades, and suddenly you've created a choke point so tight even a determined looter has to file in single file like kindergartners. Up top, you've got sight lines, warning time, elevation. They're playing breach and clear. You're playing tower defense with gravity on your team. Most commercial roofs hide massive HVAC units and water tanks. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of gallons just sitting there. Sure, it's not ready to drink. It's a microbial soup. But boil it, filter it, UV expose it, boom, clean water. You're sipping roof-to-cup hydration while the evacuees down the road fight dehydration and dysentery in makeshift camps. Ethernet cables equals rope. Fire extinguishers equals pressure-launched problem solvers. Office furniture equals barricades. Break room electronics equals copper, magnets, parts. You are living like a rooftop warlord while everyone else is punching each other over stale Pop-Tarts.
Now let's take a detour into a place no panicking crowd ever thinks about. Dentist clinics. Veterinary hospitals. Not the big hospital, that's already a war zone. Not the pharmacy, that's a riot with fluorescent lighting. I'm talking about Dr. Jensen's Dentistry next to the frozen yogurt shop. Paws and Whiskers Veterinary Clinic behind the hardware store. Inside these facilities, lidocaine, articaine, mepivacaine, the kind that blocks nerve signals entirely. You need to stitch a wound without someone screaming like a banshee? Congratulations, you just found the good stuff. Dentists prescribe them nonstop. Vets carry even more, broad spectrum, heavy duty, chemically identical to human versions. Different labels, same molecules. Survival isn't tactical, it's microbial. A steam pressure sterilizer that turns bacteria, viruses, and spores into dead memories. 250 degrees, high PSI, surgical grade clean. Most apocalypse deaths come from infection, not bullets. You've just removed 80% of those outcomes from your personal future. Veterinary clinics also often have backup power, fuel, even solar systems, because you can't exactly pause surgery on a Labrador mid-operation. While the masses claw at empty Walgreens shelves, you're sitting in a quiet clinic with more clean medical capacity than half the refugee camps on the planet. Final destination? Amateur radio clubs and small-town public works depots. No one's looting these because no one remembers they exist, but they hold the last functioning communication systems after cell towers die. Ham radio operators have been waiting for this moment since the Eisenhower administration. Low-power transmitters, antenna arrays, manuals, schematics, everything you need to speak across counties, states, continents. When the grid drops, these buildings remain the last beating heart of communication. Pair that with public works depots, generators, fuel, solar rigs, tools, equipment, the kind of gear that actually keeps civilization running. They're the throne rooms of the new world, and nobody's guarding them. High ground, communication, energy, tools. A survival jackpot hidden in plain sight. While everyone else is dying slowly in a metal traffic jam, you're fortified in a vertical tower, drinking rooftop water, treating infections with veterinary antibiotics, sterilizing tools with an autoclave, broadcasting across the wasteland on frequencies the masses forgot existed. You didn't flee, you occupied. You claimed the infrastructure they abandoned. Collapse isn't about guns and backpacks. It's about knowing which systems still function when society doesn't. Walk outside. Look around. That bland office building you ignore? That dentist clinic you hate visiting? That maintenance depot by the radio tower? Those aren't background scenery. They're future strongholds.
The collapse isn't coming. It's already leaking into everything. Thinning supply lines, brittle trust, flickering grids. And when it snaps for real, you'll have 15 minutes. 15 minutes before the highways choke. 15 minutes before panic becomes violence. 15 minutes before the herd makes its final and fatal mistake. Then you choose. Join the stampede or stay. Dig in and crown yourself king of the ruins. The buildings are waiting. The clock is melting. Choose wisely.